Hello there, Dave again. I made a board, and months ago I made something like this for myself, and it really helped gain some perspective on what's happened in Minnesota over decades. Okay, but first, hot off the press a month ago, the Star Tribune had an article. The Great American Bailout goes on and on. Now these are your federal dollars, not your state. President Biden signed a bill to bail out a Teamsters pension plan, $36 billion. He was surrounded by union leaders. And I got a kick out of the name, the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation. So for years, they call it a guarantee and then they go bankrupt. Well, you're going to see there's a lot of bankruptcy in Minnesota to follow here. Okay? And, down here to the right, 1973, that's an important number for public pension people. As part of retirement, they used to use your average wages over your career. Well, in '73, they switched to an average of your high fives. Now, that's a huge bonus to retirements. That was a big plus for government employees. Also, going back, when you look back here, Minnesota didn't have any problems in the 50s, 60s, 70s. That's not much of an issue. It all started in '78 with MERF, the Minneapolis employers. And also, I'm going to refer to the actuaries. I'm calling, in Minnesota, the actuaries are equal to voodoo economics, okay? Here's what the Rockefeller Center calls it, the State University of Minnesota, the State University of New York, about defined benefit plans, describes pension funding as deeply flawed and inaccurate, okay? And I totally believe that, and it all comes to light here as I go forward. Also, it's not the actuaries' fault in Minnesota. The leaders tell them what to do. They actually are fighting with some of our leaders, going, no, you shouldn't do this, we don't agree. But our leaders, including Teamsters and I guess retirees, more. There's no guardrails, the more the better. No principles that we talked about before. Now, also going back, we'll see there was no problems here, and other states never had problems that we were going to have, as you see, going forward. Wisconsin, South Dakota, Nebraska, Alaska, and Rhode Island changed, and I'm no expert, but those are some of the few that don't run into this because they don't run their business the way we do. They don't try to fail. Here's the title of my book. Very funny. Plan to Fail Then Bail, How Minnesota Public Pension Leaders Use Outlier Tactics to Fail and Create Overgenerous Retirements for Government Workers and Exploit Taxpayers. Overgenerous is a word that I got from another article just the other day from The Economist describing defined benefit pensions. I want more information before I call that. I'm pretty sure he's accurate, but we'll see. As we go forward here, some of the problem starts as Minnesota is an outlier, which we talked about before. Here's the 3 of 85. Minnesota had 3 plans out of 85 around the nation that gave their money away to their retirees who already had good pensions, and at about the same time they're increasing their multipliers, which means the people that are working are going to get a bigger retirement. And blast off. Blast off is a graph I showed you one of the last videos where Minnesota starts departing from the national norms on pension benefits. We're out there, another outlier. Okay, here we go. As we move farther over here, when you hit blast off and you start separating yourself, you start getting into trouble, okay? Look what happens. Your actuary debt was 0 in '99, almost 0. In the next 20 years, the debt actuary says 18 billion, that's voodoo of course. The American Experiment said 40 to 60 billion, and Bloomberg called it 110 billion. We've got problems. And also, during this time, these leaders that were making these rules and getting us into trouble, they were warned. There were professionals coming to the committee and telling them. professionals in the business would say, if you do what you're doing in Minnesota, you're going to fail. And guess what? They failed. But now I'm thinking, as I look at this, these other teachers' plans, we're looking back at MERF, and in this time, look at these bailouts. They were getting bailouts. They were so bad at what they were doing, they needed tens and hundreds of millions just to get 80% funded so that some other group would take them in on a bankruptcy situation, and then they call it a merger. So here the action really starts, okay? There's bankruptcies, Minneapolis teachers. So now we get Minneapolis, the employees and the teachers have failed. One of the big reasons the teachers failed is Minnesota was 3, well, they were maybe 4, 5, or 6. They hung on and started throwing their money away also. So they failed. St. Paul teachers failed. They were doing the same thing, throwing away money when their funds were underfunded. That's irresponsible, but this is their goal, to fail, like I've talked about. The Duluth teachers, I'm going to talk about that again. It's not just a numbers game. And Moody's decreased the credit rating of Minneapolis in 2013. The article said it was because of the pensions. Here's the TRA. I'm calling it a swindle. I just got a message from Josh. He said it was that there were laws made, and so he made it sound like, oh, go talk to OLA. So he really didn't want to answer my question. Now, we're getting up here to the end. Now look at the MERF. MERF goes from 78, they're extending out to 2031. That's 50 years of bailouts. A napkin, back of the napkin kind of thing gets that approaching $1 billion. I took a piece of paper and I started, there's notes about supplemental employer contributions and direct state aid. I started multiplying. So from where we are now in 18, it started in 18, they're going out to 2048. They're saying, oh, by 2048, we'll have this all figured out, but it's going to cost taxpayers over $5 billion more, okay? That's an enormous amount of money. And here's another thing that's pretty interesting. When they were back in here, they said, oh, we're going to have it all figured. Everybody will be funded by about 2020 to 2030. Well, they started getting close. They realized, oh, we don't have the money. We did not tell the truth about full funding, so let's extend it another 20 years out to 48. There's a bill that died in committee that already says, let's go from 48 to 68. These are billions and billions of dollars. Like I said before, I hope you're as disgusted as I am. You need a powerful person. I'm a nobody. I hope somebody knows somebody. Oh, and I've got something else too. This is great. Here is, all these people that do all this stuff, there's no accountability. I mean, you can lose $1 million, big deal. You can lose 5 million, big deal. Nobody gets in trouble for this. I cannot figure that out, but that's the world Minneapolis in. Here is the SBI booklet, okay, 2021. This is right up to date. This is a massive colored graphs and colors and all kinds of things filled with voodoo economics. And here's what it says. This is just recently. Now you've seen all these bailouts, billions of dollars of bailouts. Here's what it says currently. It says, employee and employer contribution rates are specified in state law. The rates are set so that contributions plus expected investment earnings will cover the projected costs of promised pension benefits. So they're acting like they have no idea what reality is. They're just making this stuff up. It sounds good. I call it the longest lie because I had a Minneapolis teacher tell me this same thing about 30, 40 years ago. Now, I wasn't sure it was true, but I didn't know much then. Now I know a lot more. Now I know it's absolutely not true, but they have teams of people, you know, trying to push this stuff, that's how good we are. I get a little excited about this stuff. Thank you for listening. There'll be another one. What I should really do is quantify some of these other numbers. It's just staggering amounts of money that come out of taxpayers' pockets. Goodbye. Thank you very much.